On today's show, Kathy and I talk about the importance of what parks and trails have on a community's health and transportation. Today is the part 1 of a part 2 series. Enjoy the show.
Well, Jason, welcome. It's another time for transportation talk. How are you today?
I am doing just fine, Kathy. I hope you are doing well as too. And here we are again, another transportation talk, a wonderful episode that we get to look forward to. I'm excited about it. I hope you're kind of excited about it too, as we're going to be talking about some pretty cool topics and trails and parks, aren't we?
Yes, trails and parks. I love them. And the more of them that we can get, the better, because I just think they're good for us. I like green spaces. I like what it does for our health and our mental state, and the breathability of our planet just is better when we have more green spaces. And then when you throw those paths in there that kind of lead people around so they can discover things, it's a win-win-win.
I love it. You know, when we have those interconnected parks, it's just a real cool thing that families can kind of get out and enjoy, the good weather and everything. I particularly like to get out when it's a little sunnier out and stuff, and I can go without having to slide around. But Kathy, I know we can have fun at the park and on the trails pretty much throughout the whole year, right?
Yes, 100%. I think a wise person I heard once say, there is no bad weather, it's just bad clothing for that weather. That's not a very good quote. Yeah. I got it really wrong this time, but you get the point. You just have to wear the right clothes.
Yeah, absolutely, Kathy. And you had touched on this already, how important these parks and these pathways are to our community. It's important. The way I look at it is because, like you had mentioned, kind of the mental aspect of things. And we're outdoor creatures. We don't need to be cooped up inside four walls that often and everything. Anybody can get out. There's no excuse, really. You can get out and enjoy what our local community has to offer, and what nature really provides you to say, hey, it's time. Come out and play. Come out, be healthy, enjoy this time. There are things here that we can get to through our public transportation system that help us with our physical abilities and with our mental status, like you said. So.
Absolutely. And not only is it us saying this and do we think this, but it's actually in some places, it's what the doctor orders. And so for mental health and physical health, as Jason is saying, the doctors are prescribing outdoor nature time. Yes. And I just think that is the most fantastic thing. I personally have friends that are naturopaths that prescribe outdoor time, and preschool teachers that teach outdoor school. And the reason that is because it's so good for us to get out there and move our bodies and breathe that fresh air.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got a couple of teenagers, in the house and everything. And sometimes they just don't want to get out. They just don't want to go anywhere. But when you look at the statistics, it shows is overwhelmingly there's just not enough. There's not enough physical activity out there. We're definitely not engaging in enough of that. And so it's really important, Kathy, that we sometimes just have to kind of push ourselves to get out, right? Your doctor can say, get out and go do it. Your naturopath can say, come on, get out there. You got to get out there to stay healthy. And, sometimes though, we just need to push ourselves to get out. It's not something that we just do every single day.
No. And I personally think that every time I do push myself to get out there and go for that little bit of an extra walk, go breathe that fresh air, go out and find a local park or a path, I feel better afterwards. And that's the thing to remind ourselves, that we're doing this for ourselves. And in a way, by doing it and being out there and walking around, other people are seeing you, and it's contagious in a good way. That's the type of thing that we want to catch on. We want that type of thing to really spread all across our community so that we don't look at somebody and think, what the heck's wrong with them? They're out there walking. I mean, that's a little backwards,
Well, the thing is too is at least in this community, our parks and our pathways are really interesting. You can learn a lot. I mean, you can go to the Fisherman's Memorial. You can get all the way. I mean, at least up here in the northern part of Clatsop County, you can get into the Maritime Museum. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many things that you can go and see and do. Restaurants along our path, if that's what you want to do, go out there. Maybe you need to burn some calories after, sitting down for a nice meal and everything. Well,
Yeah, we've got some great restauants that make it worth it to get out there on those paths. And some of the paths go around nature preserves, and you can see wildlife. And, if you are curious about those kinds of things, who doesn't love to watch some cute little ducklings? I mean, it's duckling season out there. And the deer, and again, the elk are out there, so you have to remember to keep that elk's distance, because, those are wild animals. We don't want to get close to those. So, and I just think that it's just good to get out there and enjoy those paths. Jason, you put together a great video for us, I think, for us to watch.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some really good points brought up in this video, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. So here we are. We're going to watch that, and then we're going to come back a little bit, Kathy, and really talk about, how everything connects and how transportation helps you connect to those, parks and pathways that we have around here in Clatsop County. So hang out. We'll be right back.
Can't wait.
Take the pathway less traveled. Park the car and let's take a trail. Community pathways and trails are an important part of a community. Our community needs safe walking and biking routes to homes, parks, stores, and schools. And a well-designed trail system helps all of us enjoy the outdoors and get some exercise in the process. The physical activity that you get from walking and biking to parks by trails can have both environmental and personal health benefits. We want you to enjoy your trail walk and how it connects you to your community. Get on out there and take a trail.
You never know what you're going to see when you're taking a walk and going back and forth between work and home. Using those community paths, you might not be the only one. Some areas are set up with educational materials, so you can learn about the area that you're in, enjoy the fresh air, and take a great walk. Such a great thing. Using your community paths to get from place to place is transportation. Sometimes it's easy to forget that. But your walk, your feet rolling and walking are transportation. And they're a fabulous way to enjoy the beautiful community you live in. While you're out walking around, make sure to keep your eyes open. There's some beautiful natural scenery and wildlife. There's the mama, and she has some ducklings. Look at that. Who doesn't like to watch ducks and ducklings? Watch out for the eagles, ladies.
Well, hey, Kathy, that was a real good video to watch. As usual, putting together these videos is so much fun. I get an opportunity to really dig in, to see, and to really study it. Sometimes it leads me through what we're going to talk about. Other times, it's a good opportunity for me to, you know, maybe learn from what we were talking about and put together the video. So it was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it.
I certainly did. And I know that, people might be scratching their heads right now going, why are they talking
Yeah.
about parks and trails? Aren't they
What are we doing?
transit and transportation options? Well, I would say parks and trails are all part of that. And if you're not out there and you're not engaging in the parks and you're not aware of the trails, well, you're missing a transportation option from
Right.
my perspective. And getting out there and being healthy is all part of transportation options and making sure that as many options as there are available to you.
Yeah. And Kathy, part of what I have to do is my job is to get out and to help people understand those options, help them to
Mm-hmm.
understand that, you know what, we are a transportation agency or district first. And so what we want to do is we want people to be able to get to those locations first. Maybe they can't get to that location or to that park or to that trail without having some form of transportation. And what's really cool is I get a chance to really meet some real special people, individuals who all they want to do is get out and enjoy what their local community has to offer. And as we've seen, as we've talked about in various shows that we've had before, there are so many opportunities to get out of the house, take a bus, ride a bicycle, use both of them, ride a bicycle and take a
Mm-hmm.
bus as well, right? To get to these parks, to enjoy your time there. I love it how you mentioned that you view these trails and parks or connected amenities as a form of transportation options, because indeed they
Mm-hmm.
are, right? Because the
Right.
transportation option, one of the biggest ones is walking.
Absolutely. I loved going to the job and career fair recently, and I got to talk to some high school kids, and I was asking them about whether they had their own transportation yet.
Nice.
And you'd be surprised. Almost all of them said no. And I had to remind them why indeed you do. And it's right
Yes,
down at the other end of your ankle there. And you can use your feet to get around. The people that I was talking to happened to be walking around the job and career fair. But even if you use a wheelchair or a mobility device, you have a way to get around. You don't
absolutely.
need a four-wheeled vehicle that drives under gas power to consider that you have your own form of transportation.
Yeah, and Kathy, even if you don't know how to use, the transportation system with the mobility device that you may have, maybe you're in a wheelchair, maybe you use an oversized walker, maybe you use an electric bike, an e-bike to get yourself around town, and you don't really understand how those integrate with the transportation system that we have here. Well, that's good, because you can ask me those questions. You can ask Kathy, you can ask me, and
Mm-hmm.
part of, like I say, what my job is to do is to help train those individuals on how to utilize and how to integrate whatever mobility challenge they have with the transportation system. It's not known, it should be known very well out there, that all of our buses are ADA accessible. Some of them will kneel down. They have air suspension that will lower the bus down and have a small little ramp that gets down, so it's really easy for somebody to get up on that bus. There's no stairs, but there
Yeah,
are
I got
buses that,
asked that
yeah,
question in a presentation this morning, actually,
that's cool, that is
by
cool.
somebody, whether all of our buses were ADA accessible, and I said yes, yes they are. And
Yeah,
so that is an option that's available to everybody. And getting out
absolutely.
there and breathing fresh air is an important part of being
Yep,
a healthy and whole person. So that is why we are talking about parks and trails, because they're part of the integrated system. What do we call it? Your transit portfolio? No, your
yeah, yep.
transportation portfolio.
Right. Yes, I know that is a part of that portfolio. And I want everyone out there listening to know that you have resources if you don't know exactly what your portfolio has or should have in it. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know, if for example, maybe it is hard for you to get out if that's all you have is is a manual walker and so forth. Well, maybe we can work with you to teach you how to utilize all the services. You can use the walker and get on our lifts on our bus. A lot of people don't understand that, so they just keep themselves away from getting around. And so we want to make sure that people understand that what SCTD has in its accessible buses is completely welcoming to anybody with any type of mobility device. So what we're saying is these beautiful parks, these beautiful trails that we are on from time to time, that the community just adores, and that you can access that as well too. So anyone out there should be able to access these parks and trails and understand that their bus service, SCTD, they're here to help you be able to do that. Kathy, I think it's really important for them to know that there's people here, you and I. Actually, technically, everyone here at SCTD exists to help you become more a part of your community.
Absolutely.
Well, Kathy, you know what? It looks like it's almost time for the end of the show. It's always goes by a little too fast, especially in this new format that we have here. But I really hope that we can sit back and really just look at what we're doing here to try to get people to ride the bus a little more often, to try to access life. And this show did it here. So I want to make sure that you know that I'm very thankful for being with you today. And I hope everything goes well for you this weekend, and everyone out there enjoys the time, gets out and enjoys their community.
Absolutely. And if you want to see if there's a ride or a carpool going your way, look it up on getthereoregon.org.
Absolutely. Okay, Kathy, have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Take care, everybody.